Hey, this is Josh.
And Carolyn.
And welcome to this week's episode of the Pantry Chat Food for Thought.
You did it different this time. You usually say this is Josh and Carolyn from Homesteading Family, but this time...
Well, hey, you know, we're getting into a new mode, you guys. We are coming back to doing the Pantry Chats once a week.
Yay!
But we're actually trying to make them a little more conversational, not so specifically topical. And so yeah, it's a new flow. And
that doesn't mean we won't be addressing specific topics.
Right.
We will be doing that.
Yep.
We're just going to do it a little more conversational style rather than maybe quite so bullet pointed as we've done in the past.
Yeah, so gonna have to find a rhythm.
Yeah.
New rhythm.
Yeah, and always give us your feedback as things change. We love knowing what you like, what you don't like, you know, what really works for you, because that helps us know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we're excited to be here. We're excited to be coming back to the once a week. You guys have asked for that, and when we announced this last week, we got a lot of positive feedback. So we're really excited to be hanging with you guys a little more regularly and just getting you on the front porch a little more often. Though today we're out by the garden and it's a little breezy. Yeah. So hopefully the wind doesn't stir things up too much.
Hey, thank you guys so much for all of your great, you know, condolences and your wishes, best wishes for our family after the loss of Grandma Jeannie. We really, really appreciate that. I know a lot of you guys felt connected to her too from getting to watch that video with her, the interview we did with her. And so just thank you guys for all of your good wishes there for our family.
Oh man, I just was blown away at the response to your guys' well wishes and have been reading them, you know, all week. Enjoying those coming in. So yeah, thank you very much.
Really good.
Well, hey, today is going to be a Q&A day. It's been a while since we've done a Q&A and just covering a lot of different topics and answering your questions directly. So we're going to get into that in a few minutes, but first we got to have a little chit chat and catch up with what's going on here at Riverbend and Carolyn and I. So why don't you kick it off? What's going on? What are you up to?
Oh, I am filming the new dairy class. That is really taking a lot of my week here.
Oh, she's been working so hard.
I am so excited, you guys. I just filmed a new section here that is, well, it's a super surprise, so I can't tell you. I'm not supposed to say it. I'm so excited though, because it is information that you can barely find out there. It is old-fashioned skills for this particular section that I'm doing that I have searched and searched for good solid information. Finally had to go back to the 100-year-old plus cookbooks in order to get good information and stories. Grandma Jeannie actually gave us some stories about how her mom did this on the farm in the 30s. And so I have been experimenting for years with this, trying to figure it out, and have really gotten excited about it. And I just filmed an entire set. I know I'm being really cryptic here. It's because it's a special surprise for those of you who are on the wait list for the brand new dairy class.
That's right, we're getting cheesy.
Yeah, you're getting cheesy. I'm cultured. You know.
I'll stay cheesy, you be cultured.
All right,
That's
that sounds good. So if you want to get on that wait list for the dairy class and get the super surprise that comes with it, for those of you guys who are involved in the very first release, make sure you check the link below in the description so you can jump over there. Lots of fun things happening on the wait list.
Well, and
so I'm filming.
And that wait list is for the very initial release that's going to be only to people on that wait list. Yeah. And it's going to have a one-time only best price. We do this whenever we release a brand new class. Yeah. And so, you know, if you're interested in dairy, you really want to jump in and follow along with this. There's going to just be some awesome bonuses. And there's actually another super cool surprise that Carolyn's not telling you about that gets offered only to the people on the wait list. It isn't even dairy, but it's another really, really cool thing happening. So make sure you jump in there and just follow along. Yeah. But hey, you've been working some long days filming dairy, and you know, it'd be nice to think that, you know, we can just do dairy like we're doing it in the house and film it, but to produce the type of classes that you produce and that you make, it's a lot of rigorous filming, and you've been doing great day after day. And along with that though, you've still been keeping the homestead going and doing some other preserving. Yes, we've got berry season right now, and cucumbers are just coming in. So we have been foraging wild huckleberries and making huckleberry jam. The raspberries are now in, so we're picking those every 3 days. We're getting
probably 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons every third day right now. And you know, I'll tell you what, in our household, we could eat that many fresh just by sitting around and eating.
Yeah.
So I have to like hoard them off to the side and, you know, put them away, tuck them away, get them into jars of all sorts of things. We did, we're gonna do raspberry jam today, a raspberry chipotle sauce today for dipping. Oh, I'm so excited. And Rachel just experimented, our daughter, and made a raspberry mostarda. Wow, that's like a
Okay, that's not what I tasted the other day, was it? Raspberry? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that was really good.
It is really amazing. So anyways, we've been doing that. We've been doing currants, red currants. Yeah.
A lot going on. Pickling,
doing lots of pickles, lots and lots of pickles. If you guys didn't see the pickle video that I put out, I show you exactly what kind of pickles that I am making this year, and they're so good.
And they're crunchy, which is my thing. I'm not a big guy for the sandwich style pickles so much, but I love the crunchy pickles.
Yeah.
And you're kind of nailing it.
Yeah,
on that,
absolutely.
Getting that down. Yeah.
I know we have a lot of questions about that video today, so we'll be talking more about pickles in a few minutes.
Yeah,
but what about you? Because, you know, I'm sure you're just sitting around on the porch watching me work, huh?
Yeah, well, we've got the back end with Homesteading Family and working on getting ready for that dairy class and a lot of other projects. And here on the homestead, well, this morning I was pruning trees, fruit trees. And
not normal time of year to prune them.
Well, it's not to a lot of people, but it's a good time because you can prune them and shape them without spurring on new growth when you do it this time of year. Challenge is there's a lot of fruit on there, so you end up giving up some of the fruit for the long-term plant of the tree. However, we've got an apple tree that's very small, that's very prolific in some years, and it keeps breaking on us. And so I had to convince myself and realize that by pruning it now, while I'm taking off a lot of fruit, I'm helping the tree out.
Yes.
Because if I don't do it, nature's going to do it, and we're going to lose a lot more fruit, and we're helping that tree to be strong. So I'm actually just pruning what I have to get it off the ground right now, so it's not resting on the ground, so that hopefully that branch will get stronger, so it's still bearing the weight, and I'm allowing it to get stronger. So I may have to do this a few times over the season. But trying to help.
Selected stress, right?
It is selected stress, so that branch will get strong. A couple of these will still get stronger and hopefully carry the load better over time, but not completely break on us.
So I'm really glad that you have waited to this point to do it, because the apples, even though they're immature, are at a point where we can harvest them and use them as green apples. So,
so what are you going to do with those?
We are experimenting with a new recipe that we are working on, which is a salted caramel apple cake. Ooh, yum.
That sounds amazing.
So
you know, one of the things I love about her, and one of the things that makes our Homesteading Family classes so good, is she's always experimenting. She's always learning new things. And you're a good experimenter, because the vast majority of the time it works out really, really well.
More
very few
experience
flops
that I have, right?
Yeah, you've always done good at that, though. Yeah.
Well, thank you for waiting until I can harvest those apples.
Yeah.
We'll put them to use.
All right. Most of the time, being a guinea pig is fun. Occasionally, it's a little painful.
Occasionally.
So, anyway, been pruning trees. We're working on the addition.
We'll just skip over that story.
Right. Yeah. It had something to do with cayenne in the nose. Just don't try it. So, also working on the addition. I'm really excited. We have some friends coming up this weekend that we haven't seen in a long time, and they offered to come in and help, and so we're going to boost the addition along a little bit this Saturday. That's really exciting. And you know, getting the hay in. You guys, we just stocked our barn with a year's full of hay. And I don't know what it's like in your area, but for most of the Northwest and the West in general, and this is going to affect a good part of the country, we're in a major drought. And in our area, in our whole region, the hay production is about 25%
of what it normally is.
Is what it normally
is.
That's really
bad.
And this is really, really bad. And it means that, one, the hay is going to disappear. So if you're used to stocking up September, October, November, you're either not going to find hay, or it's going to be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
The other side is there's not going to be any, come spring, and that season where you start to get thin, kind of that hunger gap. We experience it with hay and feeding animals, just like we experience it in the garden. and we need that hay to get through until the grass comes in, it's gonna be really tough to get it if we don't get summer rains. And so far it looks like it's gonna be a dry year. So I've been working to get the barn fully stocked, and I've been meaning to tell you guys about that. I encourage you, stock up now and get your hay in, and think about this with all your animal feeds and even your meat products, because with that drought, grain production is down.
Right.
And so grain prices are going to go up, which means animal prices or meat prices, meat prices are going to go up. And so y'all, and we're doing the same, need to be thinking about that now and getting prepped now for that. So that's a big thing on my mind right now. It's not just the hay, but we've been stocking up on all our grains, and we always stay pretty stocked up, but I'm trying to get a solid year ahead right now, even on the barn stuff, because I'm just concerned about prices and availability this next year.
So a year sounds a little drastic, but when you think about it, we're not going to have a fresh crop until next year. So, you need to buy through the entire growing cycle until the next crop comes out next year.
And the Northwest is where a bulk of our wheats and our grains, our cereal grains and feed grains, besides corn, which comes more Midwest, but that's where a lot of it comes from for the country. And so this is going to impact everybody. Yeah. So anyways, that's just doing that. Thankfully, the gardens, it's our 3rd year in the garden. It's doing well, and it's kind of humming along pretty good.
It is a beautiful garden year.
Because of these no-till beds, the weeding has remained light. And there's always some weeds, but doing no-till and layering is just, the weeds are under control, the soil's improving, and it's going to be our best year yet, I think. Thankfully, we've got a good water system in this year, and so not having to struggle with that too much. So that's
good.
That's enough. It's enough to keep me busy.
I do want to update you guys on one project that I know that I've mentioned a couple of times, and that is my tomatoes. This is such a short growing season here that I really went on the search this year for up in the terrace gardens. And hey, there's a garden tour coming out. I think it's coming out this weekend for you guys, a video of all the different, I know you've been asking about to see the different gardens. And so we have a tour coming out for you guys, but it's just such a short growing season. So I trialed all different varieties of early short season tomatoes, and here we are, it's July, we're at the end of July, and we have tomatoes going red in the garden.
Yay.
We have not had tomatoes up here in North Idaho from our garden before the last week of August, maybe before. So I will let you know as I really see which of those varieties come out really strong, which ones they are, because I know a lot of you guys live in challenging gardening climates too, or you just want those really early tomatoes. So I'm having fun trying these out.
Now, you got to add here, because it's not just the variety. You've also got these up front on the property in a southern, southwestern exposure, and with some good heat, that area warms up early as well. So that's very helpful.
It does, but I do have some standard tomatoes out there, and they're not
doing it.
Not anywhere near. They've just set some fruit. So cool. I really think some of these varieties are helping this here. So yeah.
Very cool.
Good. Well,
all right, that's the happenings around here.
Yeah.
Get into some questions. Let's get into their questions, okay? And all right, let's start right off here with a milk question.
Right.
This is Whittling Wood. I got an idea what you're doing in your spare time. From Milk Post on Instagram. Hey, I love this. I think my biggest question is what it looks like to keep up with the milk. What would you say the time commitment is for one cow and the milk? So I think they're kind of talking everything, milking the cow,
one cow,
everything,
and
time
the milk.
commitment. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, obviously you have to care for the animal like you would any other animal, but if you have your infrastructure set up, that should not be a major project throughout your week.
An hour a day to an hour and 15 for feeding, watering, milking.
And with the milking in there.
Yeah, for me. We've got some of the younger kids doing it, so maybe it's an hour and a half a day between morning and evening.
They're a little slower, yeah. And that's hand milking.
Yep.
And then you have to get the milk into the house and make dairy, and really you're probably talking, if you're going to do cheese, butter, everything to really make good use of that, we're talking probably 3 hours with the pouring, maybe 3.5. with pouring all of the milk, straining it all, getting it into the fridge, all of that.
That's a week?
And then all of your dairy. Well, that's the way I teach how to do it in the class.
Right. But that's a week, not a day.
That's a week.
Because I was talking about a day there.
You're talking about a day. I'm talking about a week because, you know, you're not going to make cheese every day.
Right.
So you kind of have a weekly cycle of making your dairy products.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say about 3 hours, 3.5.
So for maintenance, one person could take care of the dairy cow generally about a week, an hour and a half a day for feeding, watering, checking, getting the milk in, getting it in the fridge, the pouring part. And then you're saying it sounds like about 3 hours a week if you're going to make all the dairy products. Right. You know, that we're making here. Yeah. And of course, we're on pretty good scale too. So
we're doing a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. There you go.
Right. Let's see here. All right. Nicole Groves on an egg post from Facebook. I water glassed eggs per your tutorial last fall. I just used my last one today. And now what do I do with the lime water? Do I dump it down the toilet, or can it be rinsed and discarded outside? Or, and I'm adding in the question mark.
Or I do feel like we've talked about this a couple times, but Nicole, how exciting is that? You put up eggs last fall. And this is July, where she just said this. This is just now she left this comment, and she just used her last egg.
Non-refrigerated.
I just love this.
Low cost. This is low cost preservation method. Yeah.
Absolutely. So for that lime, if you're on septic, I don't know that I would dump that down your drain.
No, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, that is so, I mean, the reason why it works is it's so strong on the alkali side that bacteria doesn't grow in it. So you don't really want to dump that down your septic system where you kind of really want your bacteria and yeast to be working away. So there are a few different things you can do with it.
Well, I was going to ask, can you reuse it? I know people ask that. Can it be strained or something and reused?
You don't want to reuse it for your eggs. The reason for that is you're going to have evaporation. You don't really know what concentration or strength you have left in there after that amount of time has gone by. And so you don't really want to reuse it for your eggs, but it is really, really handy to deter pests. So you can, you know, if you have a chicken coop, pour it around the edges of the chicken coop to help with the mites. You know, we talked about the whitewashing before, that you would use the same lime to create a whitewash to put on your walls or other areas, your chicken coop walls, pantry walls, because it's antibacterial, because it's so alkali.
You just want to add more lime back into it for a whitewash. It would be thin for a whitewash, but you can use it for that.
You could use it as a base. And you could put it around the edges of the garden. Do not put it on your plants. That would not be good. It's way too alkali for that. So but you could definitely do that. So those are kind of the big ideas that I have on reusing it, is just using it on your outdoor areas around the dogs' pens or something like that. You know, if you have dogs and you want to deter insects.
I wonder if it's good for ants, if it helps at all for washing for areas of ants.
I don't know. Yeah, I wonder if you could wash your sidewalks down with it, honestly.
Yeah.
If you have like sidewalks around your house or concrete around your house.
It might make a natural weed killer, just in some areas where you got weeds coming up through the cracks in the sidewalk or the pavement, or we've got an area that's got some blocks, where the strawberries are and rhubarb are, and it gets grasses coming up between it. So that's another thing to try. Yeah. You're not going to hurt anything in those areas to try it and direct spot treat and see, because there's a good chance that would work. It just occurred to me while you're talking. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, good.
All right. Okay, Elizabeth Theed, I think, from the garlic post on Facebook. I have garlic to harvest too. Do I take off the tops, dry them out, and plant them in the fall for a new crop next year?
Yes, well, kind of. You don't want to take the tops off. That is, unless you have the scapes, which are the little flower buds. You should take those off while they're still out in the garden before you get to this point. You want to take those scapes off right when they show up. Otherwise, you won't get the great garlic. So you just want to cut those off.
It'll go to seed,
fry
and
them up. They are delicious. You would be amazed at how good they are.
And I got in big trouble this year because I was in a hurry. And I went through.
He threw them on the garden ground. He didn't know.
Think about
I was like, any day I'm going to end up with these great garlic scapes in the kitchen.
Sorry.
And I finally asked, what happened to the garlic scapes? And he's like, oh, I just put them on the ground in the garden.
I was in a hurry. It was early in the morning, and it needed to get done because if you let those things go, it's going to ruin your garlic crop. And I was just like, I got to cut them down and move on. And so I tossed them on in the walkway because that's what I do with all our trimmings, and let it just degrade there in the pathways. And anyways, no garlic scapes this year.
Eat them after you've taken them off at the right time. But then when your garlic leaves start to dry off, you really want the bottom 4 leaves at least to be starting to be brown and dry. Then you're going to pull those garlic out of the ground, but you need to let them cure. Don't take their leaves off yet because there's a lot of goodness still in them. They're going to suck that back down into the root. That's what the bulb does, is it holds the plant energy, which is why, you know, when it dies down out in the garden, it'll resprout next year. So you'll want to lay those out until they're completely dry, the plants are all brown and dry, and then you can take the tops off and put them in storage. Yeah.
And you know what? If it's really windy right now, we apologize for the wind.
Yeah.
But we're trying to go simple, and so we've just got the camera or the mic on the camera here, so we'll see how it goes. But it also was a lot windier than when we started, which happens. So anyways, just we're thinking about it, and sorry if it's distracting.
There you go.
Okay. Heather Gustafson on making your own compost video on YouTube. So what do you do if you don't have farm animals in the compost picture? That is a great question, and I'm sure a lot of you don't. So there are a couple of things you can do. One, you can either find manure from somebody that you know that has chickens or something like that if they're not composting it. You can often buy manure. You can often buy steer manure. You buy the bag. And you know, I would try to avoid that just because we're trying to do this lower cost, but that is an option you can do. The other thing you can do is just use green waste. So there are other greens between manures. I really like manures. I like the biology that it brings to the system, but that biology is going to come, and so you can use grass clippings, you can use kitchen waste as greens. If you've got a tree trimming company that's in your area and they're trimming trees, especially when the leaves are green, and they grind all that up usually pretty fine, that is a green, as long as it's got all the leaves in it and it's not just all the woody material. Then it would go towards a brown and high carbon. But if it's got all the leaves, it's green. So any vegetation that's been taken live is a great green that you can substitute with instead of manure if you want to.
Good.
Okay, let's see. Al on 5-minute bread dough. How long did you have the dough in the fridge before you used it?
You can start using it after about 3 hours, so you don't have to wait very long. But I have stored it for, believe it or not, I got up to 14 days at one point and then went to make a loaf of bread, and it still made a great loaf of bread. So you have this huge amount of flexibility, which is what I really like about the 5-minute breads, is you're not chained to making bread all the way through right now, but you can have a fresh loaf of bread when you want it. So I really like that. I think he said it didn't get very elastic or something when he's made it before.
This
after
is
24 hours.
Used it within 24 hours, and it isn't at all elastic.
Yeah. Try using the ingredient set that I do in that recipe, because it should make you a really nice, elastic, great bread dough within a few hours.
Cool.
Yeah.
Gabriel Bettinghaus on 5-minute bread dough asks, what are your countertops made out of? And so I assume that's the countertops in the preservation kitchen.
Yep.
And those are butcher block.
Yeah.
That was a nice, pretty affordable solution, and we liked the warmth of the wood, and it was easy to get in, not too expensive. We went with a cheaper butcher block, nothing fancy, and it was really easy to put in. It's great to work on.
Oh, it's wonderful to work on.
Yeah.
I really like it. I love working on wood.
But you know what I did once before, just for an even cheaper solution if you need a really low expense solution, because those cabinets are just pine boards. They were very simple, very low cost that I put together. And before we had the butcher block, I took some plywood, what's called AC plywood. It means it has one surface that is smooth. It's not rough like plywood that you would frame with, or OSB. And you can take that, put it on, you'd want to trim the edges, and then oil it like butcher block, and it also works very well.
Oh, good.
And it's going to be even less expensive than butcher block. So just a low cost alternative, still get wood if you want, and works well. Let's see here. Cynthia fed on this secret ingredient. That's the fruit leather video. Could applesauce work instead of grape juice?
Oh, great question. So in that fruit leather video, I show how to make a really good fruit. You know, they're more like fruit chews than they are even a leather. They're so soft. They are so delicious. By adding pectin, and I use the Pomona's pectin so that we can do a low sugar option, which is super important for a fruit leather, because when you dehydrate something, if it's too high in its sugar content, it will actually stay syrupy. So you'll get like a fruit leather with a layer of syrup over the top. That's because that sugar does not actually dehydrate well. It holds on to those liquids really well. And you don't want that. So you need to do an extremely low sugar option or a all fruit option, which is even better. So in that video, I show how to use white grape juice concentrate in place of a sugar in order just to blend up the pectin really well, because you do need to get that blended up so you don't end up with hard lumps.
Okay.
You know? You could absolutely use an applesauce in place of it. Absolutely. You could use any other fruit concentrate that you wanted, juice concentrate. You could also just use a little bit of juice. You don't even have to use the concentrate if you don't want, especially if you have a fruit that's really sweet. In that video, I was using strawberries, which were still a little tart. So you really needed a little more sweetness to really pull that out. But if you had, I think somebody else asked in here about peaches, you could just pour off a little bit of the peach juice, use that to blend up in the blender, and then make an all peach, no anything else added, really amazing fruit chew leather treat.
Ooh, that sounds
snack.
good.
It'd be very good. So yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Very good. Okay, Craig French on common compost problems fixed. Great video about how long does it take before you can use it in your garden. And Craig, this really depends on how you approach it. I tried to teach this method in a way where if you want to get compost done fast and learn to do it very quickly, guys that are really good get it done in 18 to 21 days. That's a thermal compost. That's very quick. That's hard to achieve, and it takes a lot of practice, but you can get it done that fast and ready to use. You can take anywhere up to a year. I generally am getting it done from spring until fall, so within a few months. And it really just depends on how engaged you want to be, keeping your temperatures up, and how often you want to turn it and do the work to turning, and making sure it's staying aerated. That's what helps keep that process going, and it's going to get done quicker. So just experiment, and set yourself a time. And if you're trying to get it done in a month, you're going to have to turn it every couple days consistently. If you don't mind taking a few months, you can do it once a week. I turn our large pile once a week during the summer, and it gets built in, gets really going in the spring, and by October, when we want to put compost down, it's 80 to 90% finished, which is great. Alrighty, Rachel Atwood on intro to fermenting. My husband and I are considering moving away. Let's see, so I'm going to try to skip ahead here a little bit. Okay, I'll go ahead and read it. I want to take as much of my home preserved food with us, but I'm wondering about my canned goods. We are currently at an elevation of about 1,500 feet, but maybe going higher or lower. So you don't know yet. Okay. Do you know if my canned goods will be okay to move? Will they explode or pop the seals? Well, before Carolyn answers this, we've got a lot of experience in this. We have moved canned goods across the country and back a couple times.
And up and down mountains.
And up and down elevation from 5,000 feet to near sea level and back in between.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Even without the bands on, I think I don't know if I have ever lost the seal on a single jar. Now, what I did do is make sure that I got the can, the divider boxes
yeah,
to make packing really easy, and to make sure that everything is, not going to hit each other in shipping, which I think is the bigger deal. But even up and down elevation, we did not have any problem at all. It was not a big, and I was prepared, honestly, to lose them all. I did not know that was going to work, but now we have done that multiple times, And those seals are on there well. If you have canned them well, then those seals are not coming off just because you're driving up and down a mountain.
Yeah.
So,
well, one thing that you would really want to consider, depending on the time of year that you're moving and where, is just temperature.
Yes.
You wouldn't want them to freeze. That's going to damage them. I assume that would lose the seal. I don't know, but
yes, if it froze, you would ruin it.
That you're going to ruin it.
And too hot.
And too hot. And then just know that the temperature extremes, if you're going through those, they degrade. Even if you don't lose the seal, it does degrade the quality. So that's just something we kind of got to deal with if we're moving. But be aware of those extreme temperatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
absolutely.
packing. That was good. Okay. Scott Kern on Make the Crunchiest Pickles Ever.
Ooh.
I am wondering, that's how you made your pickles crisp, is by soaking them in regular salt?
Okay, so is the salt soaking process what makes the pickles crisp, I think is what Scott is asking. And that does help. That is part of it. So is getting them right into that cold refrigerator soak right away when they come off the plants. But the real key here is that low temperature pasteurization, where we're not ever boiling the pickles. Now remember, this is an approved method, so this is safe to do. Instead of bringing your jars all the way up to a boil, you're holding them at 180 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. And that's 30 minutes regardless of your elevation. So unlike normal water bath canning where you have to adjust, it is just 30 minutes because we're going by a thermometer here and not going by boiling water, which water boils at different temperatures. So because we're not actually boiling the pickles, or pickles at that point, cucumbers, they stay much crisper because they're never boiled. Okay. So that is the big element to that.
All right.
Yeah.
Real good. Well, hey, you guys, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And we're running out of batteries today.
Yes.
But we want to ask you, so usually we try to keep the pantry chats around 30 minutes, but we really want your input. We could go for another 30 minutes just with your questions, and we're happy to answer them, but we want to make this doable for you and make sure it's highest value for you. So will you let us know, are these 30-minute chats good? Would you like to see longer? Would you like us to answer more questions? Help us understand how much time you have and just, what you'd like here. And we'll spend the time. We can take another half an hour and answer more questions or talk more about the topic if you're going to hang out and stay with us.
Yeah.
So anyways, let us know there, and we hope you have a great week. Look out for the Saturday's video.
Get on the wait list for the dairy class.
Yes, absolutely. Don't forget the dairy class.
He's like, what are you pointing at?
I don't know.
Get on the wait list if you haven't, before you miss some of the exclusive videos that are going to start coming out to the wait list for the dairy class.
And keep your eye out for Saturday. What is Saturday's video? Is this
should be the garden tour.
The garden tour this Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so keep your eyes out on that, and we will see you soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.